For the 23-24 season, the 1878 FM podcast is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. Green King Sport venues are showing every Everton televised game this season. So instead of trying to struggle to get a game on, why don't you get your mates together and get down to your local Green King Sports pub and get closer to the action. This season, Green King have launched the Green King Sport Instagram page, which will be home to fan content, deals and competitions throughout the season. They've already given away Champions League final tickets and signed shirts, so get over there and don't miss out. So why don't you drop them a follow on Instagram, and then you won't be missing out on all the competitions and the giveaways. You'll also be helping out Toffee TV, so head over there now. Hello, welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. It is, of course, a non-football week because of the international break, so we've had a lovely quiet international break. Me, Ped and Dave. There's no Bush today. No. We are very much Hollywood today. Zero Bush. It's been a lovely quiet week, Ped.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
Some parts of it felt like, Mary Poppins when they skip into the painting and the dancing with
the penguins.
With the penguins.
Yeah.
That's how I've felt.
Yeah.
Some of these days, I've gone full Dick Van Dyke.
Went full Dick. That's
jumped on the merry-go-round, the horse. All that was just like a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Nothing could possibly spoil.
I mean, to be fair, that did carry on till Friday morning, I would suggest. That was how it felt. Dave, I mean, we done this podcast last week. We were all in a good place. We just won at Crystal Palace. Yeah. We were chilled. Things were looking up. And then Friday happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, was it not Thursday though, Ped, where you were sort of talking on one of your shows about how relaxed it was to be an Evertonian? In fact, maybe, you couldn't even remember the last time you felt this relaxed and carefree in a blue shirt. And then, as you say, Baz, Friday happened. I was sat exactly where I'm sat now, and I was on my computer, which I'm talking to you now, and my phone was on the desk and all was fine, and I think I was halfway through writing an email and my phone beeped and I just thought, fuck.
Yeah, very much so.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And I just suddenly it was like the whole, and it was like the whole world stopped for me. Everything stopped, nothing was important. The email never got sent. I found it actually in my drafts on Sunday. So yeah, the world just stopped spinning. And I was just in a state of shock, to be honest with you. I think like all of us. And this cloud that had been hanging over us had arrived, but it was a much bigger cloud than any of us expected. That's for sure. And I was just likewise in a state of shock for the rest of the day and indeed over the weekend. I actually went for a beer on Friday night and I felt like having a t-shirt on saying, no, I don't want to talk about it. Because I figured that most people would want to ask me my opinion, by which point by 5 o'clock I was already sick of giving it. But there we go.
Climate change does. That brings a big cloud from nowhere. I was driving into the studio and received a phone call. And I'm driving in, and I very much was dancing with the penguins in Dick Van Dyke's thing. That's how butterflies were flying around the car. It was great. And then the phone went. I thought, answered it, and it's a disgrace, isn't it? And when you're trying to process that first thing, and I was thinking,
what does it actually mean?
What's a disgrace? And then I went, sorry, what? And he went, 10 points. And then obviously it doesn't take very much to just go, oh, what? And then very much like, coming here, Ped, come in. And we started to, we had a phone call with the club first, and then we had to go on live, and very much so, Dave. It was just like that sickly feeling. Although, ironically, there was also, Ped, at least we know what we're having to deal with now, because it had been like hanging, but Ped, let me ask you, is this the worst thing a Premier League football club has ever done? Because that's the punishment that's been given.
Well, clearly no.
No, it isn't, is it? Clearly isn't the worst thing a Premier League club's ever done. I don't know what the worst thing a Premier League club's ever done, but when you're just like, I don't know.
I'll tell you what the worst thing is a Premier League club.
Go on,
has ever
Dave.
done. It was the 6 clubs who tried to completely destroy the entire fabric of English football to line their own pockets by breaking away and making their own Super League, and actually effectively got slapped on the wrist for being naughty boys. That is far worse than anything. And that's the thing that pisses me off, I think, the most, is that by comparison, the severity, and that's the word, of the sanctions against us, is that when you look at it, it's just completely unjust and just doesn't make any sense compared to other examples.
I mean, Ped, I don't think we haven't absolved Everton Everton have broken them set of rules, but I think where I struggle a little bit is there was nothing in black and white for this.
No,
so
there isn't. There's nothing in black and white. There's nothing. This is a trumped up charge. I understand FFP and all that kind of thing, but even like how they got the points, they haven't even said how they got the points. They dismissed the idea of the Premier League's tariff system and have come up with their own system, and I'm lost for words, to be honest. The whole thing is just. It just feels like, I don't know, just when you just see a real injustice and you can't express, you can't get it over to the people who are just like, well, you've broken the rules. You're like, have we really broken the rules? Is it, as Dave said, is it any worse than what other people have done? Oh yeah, but that was something else. And it's just like, you can't get that across to people. Yeah, some I mean, there's a lot of media on our side, but there's others who are like, well, you broke the rules and you did this and you did that. And you're like, yeah, but did we though? Really, did we? Did we do anything really? Like, I was listening to something last night, and it's like, we're in an era where Premier League football clubs are encouraged to spend. We've got rolling 24-hour news that all day when it's transfer deadline day, it's like encouraging the spending of money. Like, just, they love it. It's part of like their entertainment. Oh, they've spent billions. This summer, billions and billions are being spent, and you're just like, so this has just been actively encouraged. This is something that you've wound the fans up to the point of, like, if you're not spending on deadline day, it's seen as some kind of, it's not successful failure, or whatever, it's failure. And yet a football club goes over by 19.5 million, and it's like, and I know it's more, and I know Everton we're trying to get it down below 19.5 million and said they had reasons why, but that's the thing. It just feels like all these teams with all this wealth and all this power, and throwing it around, and you don't have that power, and maybe you don't have that wealth to back up what you spent, and suddenly it's 10 points, and I'm just like, no, it's not. It's absolute nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. It's 2 players in a game being sent off. One gets a 3-match ban because he plays for Liverpool, and one gets a 10-match ban because he plays for Everton, and that's it. That's the differences. It's just But football to me is just, it's just dying on its arse because of stuff like this. It really is.
Dave, when you look, like, if you look at what Everton have done, or look at the mitigating circumstances around it, right? And I'm not saying Everton should have been let off because of these, but when you put things like building a stadium, which if Everton would have took a big loan from a bank at a interest rate of say it was 10%, saddled the club with that every year. Yeah. If Everton would have took the full loan for the stadium, this charge would never have got anywhere near what it did. So Everton have effectively been punished for trying to not saddle the club, or Farhad Moshiri for not saddling the club. Then you throw in a global pandemic, which I know every club, don't get me wrong, every club was affected. I'm not saying it's just Everton, I'm just adding it on. And then you throw in a war in Ukraine, which has cost Everton not only £30-odd million a season in sponsorship, but 220 million in naming rights, which is a huge figure. And especially when you see a ruling yesterday that basically said you can now continue sponsorships like that and get more money off it, which helps the likes of Newcastle and stuff. And when you throw those together, all in the melting pot, do you think that should be taken into consideration, that all of those events in isolation are unique to a football club, but 3 of those, one on top of the other, has had a big impact on a football club's finances? Or do you believe, well, in all fairness, the rules are there, so, you know, how do you look at that? Because I just think they're 3 huge events at any time, but when you put one on top of the other, it's going to have some effect, isn't it, on finances, surely?
My view on it is that common sense has to prevail. And all of those factors are huge, and you have to look at all of the things which have culminated. And as you say, we're not saying that the club hasn't broken the rules, and we're not saying that the club hasn't been poorly run for years now and got ourselves into mess, because clearly we have done, you know. But yeah, I think especially given the fact that the overspend was largely to do with the stadium, which obviously is redeveloping part of North Liverpool and is going to create industry and jobs, obviously, and is a good thing for the city as a whole. That wasn't taken into account, as you say, and then other factors such as the pandemic and the war in the Ukraine, and the war in the Ukraine obviously then knackered the financial relationship with Usmanov, which was paying for the stadium or the naming rights for the stadium. I think when you look back on it now, though, it was quite obvious that the Premier League, with all the noise that was coming out of them into the press in the last 4 or 5 weeks, saying that, you know, it was looking like Everton were getting a 12-point deduction. They were really pushing for that.
Yeah.
Really, really pushing for that. And it did unnerve and alarm us all. You know, we've talked about this. We didn't necessarily know what was coming, but it was alarming in terms of the rhetoric that was coming out of the Premier League. And then, you know, it now transpires that obviously they're sort of protecting their own backs because they don't want to be independently regulated, and they're trying to prove that they can keep their own house in order. And how do they do that? Well, they have to make some kind of landmark case and pick on a club which they feel, you know, won't fight back. Watch this space. You know, and then also when you look into the people who were involved in that supposed independent committee, and I don't know how much you said about this already in the last week, but in terms of the personnel that were there, in terms of David Phillips, KC, and also this guy, Nick Igo as well, and actually their previous involvements in situations, shall we say? That's a safe word, isn't it?
Absolutely,
you know, they've been involved in situations at other clubs, which would therefore mean, and I'm being very careful what I say here, it would therefore mean that they would perhaps not be the best people to sit on an independent board when they have got history and potentially a conflict of interests, some may suggest, in this matter. You know, and that, well, fuck it. I'm gonna stop being on the fence. That's a disgrace. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. But if that's allowed to happen,
I mean, though, one of those fellas is acting for compensation for the other club, and a rule was passed before this even started for him to get them round the table and say, "This goes against Everton. You've got the case for the compensation." How can that be allowed to happen? Even if Phillips and Igo are acting in with good faith and looking at it objectively, and this is one fella who represented Leeds for a long time and they were having problems. The other fella was involved in the Carlos Tevez thing. If you're acting, you know, choosing a independent panel, which quite clearly wasn't independent because the Premier League had to say who was on it, you would. And
they'd already made up their mind what they wanted to happen as well, as we just said before.
Exactly. So if you looked and went, okay, well, let's just say people are going to put 2 and 2 together and get 5, if it was purely in good faith, you would make sure that none of the people on that panel had any affiliation with any football club, wouldn't you? Really, you would. You'd go, let's get someone from whatever, right? Arsenal, Man City and Man United, who Everton aren't going to threaten. Let's get 3 of them, whatever, and do it. I would just, if it would have been me, would have been reluctant if I was like trying to pick a panel. I would have been keeping all of those little side stories away from it if it wants a pure independence. But I can't help thinking that, as well as that, putting stuff out in the media, leaking it to the media that the Premier League wanted 10 points, that to me is prejudicing the case. Now, they could turn around and go, well, we're independent and we don't listen to you. Of course you listen to it. Of course you do. Once it's out there. You can't do it in a lot of legal cases when stuff are in court. You can't be leaking stories to the press about people where the jury may well.
It doesn't really matter. It's not even about. It's not even about whether it was leaked or not. That's what the requirement. That's what they
recommendation was.
That was the recommendation.
No, but the press should never have got hold of that.
In the first place, that a recommendation is 12 points.
Yeah, you shouldn't be recommending.
You shouldn't be recommending anything. You should just say you've got an open book to say what to do what
absolutely.
you want.
And if they were truly independent, then they would be able to make up their own mind. I mean, I've had loads of stuff through on this from various different people. One of which mainly being my cousin Paul, who has been providing me with all sorts of information. But yeah, there's loads of it here. But I'll read you this one bit. The lawyer who represented Leeds United is appointed by the Premier League to head the commission in the case the Premier League brought against Everton. That lawyer chaired a case brought by Leeds United and other clubs against Everton. That lawyer decided that if the commission he is heading upholds the complaint against Everton, that same commission may wish to award compensation to one or more of the applicant clubs. It's a nonsense.
It's just
it does feel. It feels like it just feels like, as you said, there it was already preempted what was going to happen. And they've hit us with, like as you're saying, I just can't get over the fact that a point deduction can be worse than administration, can be worse than going bust, leaving lots of people out of pocket. I can't understand I can't understand how a system brought in to stop clubs from going bust could essentially send us bust if it had a knock-on effect. And obviously, all the worst case scenarios happened. It could send Everton bust, and that to me, how does that make any sense? I know people go, "Well, you've got to be punished, and you cheated and all this," and it's like, well, no. Did we really cheat, or have we just made massive mistakes, or have we just got a really inept football club with a really inept board and a really inept owner that we've been all telling you about for the last 3 years anyway? So it's not like it's a major shock to us. We know how bad these people are. They're not cheating. They're inept. That's the thing.
Look at the results on the pitch. I mean, clearly we have not bought any kind of footballing advantage at any point in years.
No.
So
yeah,
I just think that the whole thing stinks.
All right.
Sorry, and the other thing as well, just on that point, was the fact that Everton have participated and complied with this whole investigation process all the way along. They've been open and transparent, possibly to their detriment. Now looking at it, when you look at in comparison with other clubs who seemingly have not been quite so open and transparent. And it just feels to me that whatever Everton did or didn't do in terms of this whole investigation, the mind was already made up. The mind was made up of the Premier League and the bullshit independent commission, who are puppets or they have other conflicts of interest. Nonsense.
We're the scapegoat, aren't we? We are the scapegoat for all of these things all converging at once, whether it be Manchester City's 115 charges, whether it be an independent regulator. All these things converged. Obviously, I think probably the Premier League have probably just got annoyed with us as well because they see the amount of trouble we've sort of caused them as well in terms of the way we've run our club and the way Mashiri's been. But we are the scapegoat.
And for openly speaking out against them.
Yeah, of course, all these different things. We are the scapegoat for all this. It feels like it's all, it's targeted. And they probably look at it and go, no one will actually care. People will think we've done our job. And, that's a me. I think that's where the anger comes from. And again, the disproportion of the 10 points is just baffling. Just absolutely baffling.
And each day, though, the thing seems to get worse as people are uncovering how they got to this, what it's done. It's just
that's I suppose that's the positive thing, is that Everton fans, just on their own, the very nature of them is they're like sleuths, aren't they?
They are.
And they should hopefully all this stuff that's being uncovered and coming out might help the appeal. I mean, the idea of when you say, where did you get the 10 points? Don't know. Well, didn't the Premier League give you a tariff? Well, they did, but we completely ignored it. So where did you get the 10 points from? Well,
and it's come out that there was a rule change to do that 10 points, and that thing will never be used again.
It was a special thing just for Everton. So all that, that's where, and again, like Dave just said there, Everton's naivety in all this is being open and not tying them in knots like Manchester City did, and just getting a really good lawyer in and just going, we'll just fuck you for years, and almost question the legitimacy.
Well, City,
because that's what City are doing.
City are literally saying it's illegal now, profit and sustainability rules. So, and what the Premier League make you do is illegal, which I've said for years. I don't see how they can tell you what you can and can't do in terms of getting money into your how money comes into your football club if you're trying to keep the club sustainable. And City are basically saying that now and what they can. So we'll see what happens with them. But obviously, it feels to us like we've been hammered. Dave, do you think, just finally on this then, do you think that with the appeal and with the amount of, like, the spotlight on it now with MPs, I think 12 of the 16 Liverpool MPs currently have signed the letter. I think there'll be the other 4 will join in as well. Obviously, Steve Rotherham's wrote a letter to Richard Masters in the Premier League. Ian Byrne got the early day motion or whatever it was called in place. It's going to be heard in Parliament. There's huge outcry. Do you think this may well end up reducing Everton's points deduction?
Realistically, no.
Oh, okay.
If I'm awfully honest, I mean, I hope that you're right, but I personally don't think it will.
Okay.
I think that it will be the 10 points. But on a positive note, I think we get out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that, as many people have said, and we said before, if there was ever a time to have a 10-point deduction, this would be the season to do it. And it galvanizes the club, the fans, players, everybody associated, and they fight all the way, because the only thing we have to achieve this season, apart from the Carabao Cup, obviously, is avoiding relegation. That's it. And if we do that, which I believe we will, then we've done everything, and that's with the assumption that the 10-point deduction remains. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it gets reduced, and if so, then fantastic. But in my own mind, I'm not
banking on that.
I'm not banking on it in any way. That's not an option for me. I'm looking at looking at where we are now. And the fixtures ahead of us. And do you know what? Actually, I mean, I quite fancy the fixtures that we have between now and Christmas, all things considered. Because first game after this, United at home will be a bear pit. Forest away, winnable. Newcastle at home again. I mean, with the home crowd, who knows? Chelsea at home as well. Burnley, fuck them, right? Away on the 16th, for obvious reasons. Fulham at home. The only thing, the one where I think that I don't see us getting anything is Spurs away. But up until then, I think there's points in all of those.
Absolutely.
And there's a reason to fight for all of them. These are big clubs coming to Goodison, or they're people who we also want to do for other reasons. I quite like that run when we perhaps need it most.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
we're all going to be in it, aren't we? But it's not like we've had these bear pit atmospheres in the last couple of years, but it's been obviously fractured in ways, but at least everyone's in it together now. And as you said, Dave, you just have to look at it and think, well, the 10 points is taken off us. Let's get ourselves out of it. And then if we get handed points back and that takes us up further up the league, then so be it. But it's just good that there's so much noise about as well. And you mentioned there, like, politicians and stuff, a lot of journalists on our side. People have just got to keep making noise about this. Don't let it settle down.
I don't think it will. But
every home game's going to be mad. Away games, our fans are going to make their feelings known. But I think it's important people on the outside who are Evertonians or who are not Evertonians make their feelings known as well. This is unjust. It's far, you know, and I know a lot of people won't see it like that on the outside, but it really is. So we just have to keep making noise about it and don't let it settle down.
Absolutely.
Make sure that asterisk is next to like the points total and say, you know, that's not real. That's not real.
And I suppose for the players' perspective, and Sean Dyche, they're in good form. They've won 4 games. They've won games. They've won 6 of the last 9. That's the form. That's the form you carry on. They're in it.
And I think, you know, in a potentially over romantic way, I think that, you know, the uphill battle that they now find themselves, and obviously the galvanizing of the support around the club, but also the support from football fans outside of Everton who feel it's unjust, means that I think there will be a lot of people rooting for us and thinking, do you know what? I wonder if they can get out of this.
Yeah.
You know, and will almost be willing us on, you know, in those neutral games where they don't have a vested interest. They'd be like, do you know what? Come on, do it. You know, bloody climb that table, get out of it, prove them wrong.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hoping anyway. It won't be the case for everybody, but listen, we've got enough ourselves to get over the line and fight this, and it starts on Sunday.
Absolutely. Well, our 4th member who isn't here, this is his thoughts on Everton, with a random question at the end of it as well.
Hey chaps, it's Bush here in a glamorous train station waiting room on my way to go and interview the Everton legend that is Trevor Steven about a thing for Rock and Roll Football and Absolute Radio. Sorry I'm missing you guys. Hope you're doing okay. What a week it has been. Just when we were talking the other episode about finally Everton being able to kind of quietly get on with, you know, rehabilitation, we get hit with this. Why can't we just have a quiet life? It's just incredibly frustrating, this whole 10-point thing. Obviously, they're trying to make an example out of us. It's too risky to have a go at City because I have to hand the league title back and all that kind of thing. But A, it's going to galvanise the club, no two ways about it. We're great in the trenches, Everton Football Club. Bring on the dogs of war, that kind of thing. And B, I just think what's been heartwarming is the amount of messages from people who don't have a vested interest in Everton who think it's outrageous. I think there's a lot of voices sticking up for us, which is good. I hate the fact that we're back on the radar of all the, you know, the shite journalists from, you know, like the Daily Mail and all that kind of stuff. It's annoying that we're back in their sites, you know, crap football banter, Twitter accounts and all that kind of stuff, because that was what it was like a year or so ago, and I feel like we've kind of moved away from that. So yeah, I feel like we're going to get out of it. It'll be fine. Some good protests coming up, and Goodison's going to be a bear pit at the weekend, which is great. My weird question for you guys is this: have you ever done a poo outside?
It's a good way. You know what? It's a good way to move on. It's a good way to move on. Right. So my answer is no, because I am very much like Shipwreck off American Pie.
Absolutely.
I can't really go near. But you know, if I was to be able to select it right now, it'd be outside the Premier League headquarters.
Why not?
On the lawn. Yeah.
You know.
Why
so
not?
Dave, anything to add to Andrew Bush's naughty question?
Nothing to add to his naughty question. I haven't. I can honestly say, you know, even in my late 30s now, I've never actually had the opportunity, nor the desire, nor the need to ever go and do a poo in an alfresco environment. I'm not saying that will never happen, but it's never happened to date, so I have nothing to add to there. And I support what he says, just generally before the question.
And obviously speaking to Trevor Steven, he was a fantastic player for Everton.
Don't defecate in front of Trevor Steven.
No, certainly not. That wouldn't be the place to make your defecating debut, would it?
No.
Well,
we don't know if it would be his debut. Wouldn't be.
No, well, he's brought it up, so maybe it isn't. Yeah. Ped, have you got anything to add?
Yeah, you know, there have been woods.
Have there?
There have been woods.
Oh, okay.
You know,
lots of tigers, yeah.
Been woods, and you know,
you've had
shit happens.
Literally.
Fair play. Okay. Let's. So we have got. Listen, have you got? I'm sorry, was there more to add? No.
There might be. I just don't think it's appropriate right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
with
I mean, you know, when you go down to the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise.
He's a big lad,
you know?
and he eats a lot. So there you go. Well, I mean, don't know whether he does eat a lot, but he's a big lad. Unless it's Mike Pizza that he eats. Just a few because I do think we just picked this up just slightly with a few random questions. But remember the banner on the M62 we showed yesterday?
Yeah.
Bano's in the comments says, "Did you like my banner on the M62?" And he's done the
good.
fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Bano could have put his banner. I wonder if he puts banners everywhere, and that's why his name is Bano.
Gets Bano. They're talking about shit. Bano gets where shit doesn't. That lad.
Maybe.
Honestly.
Fair play to Bano.
Honestly, he does. He gets on the front of every picture when the Everton are playing away.
Does he?
Yeah. He don't you remember when he turned up at one of our nights?
Is that Bano?
That's Bano,
Big
yeah,
Bano.
with the beard. That's Bano in the cap.
Bano.
He the cap.
Fair play, Bano.
Good lad, Bano.
Fair play, Bano. He's got
Bano the Bano man.
Yeah, fair play. David, we can call him. Brian Ball, favourite all-time TV show?
I mean, Brian Ball.
He's just asked the question. He's not a TV show.
Give me some time. I said.
Okay.
I think David. He should start with this one.
Have you got a favourite all-time TV show that you could just reel off, Dave, or not?
I used to like Kickstart.
Kickstart. Why do I remember that?
Fair play.
I used to like Kickstart.
If anyone doesn't know what Kickstart is, it was a load of like 9-year-old children on motorbikes, traversing hills and mountains,
little mud hills, and
a bit of wood and stuff, and then they'd fall off and go, "Oh damn it, Damien has probably broken something there."
They had those white biking outfits on as well, didn't he?
But it used to be on at dead weird times. It used to be on like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Weird.
Encouraging people to slag off school.
And ride motorbikes
on hills. Yeah. Not great. Not great. 24 I'm going for.
24,
I think that's one of my...
I mean, that's a different style, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Different style, but, you know...
The only problem with 24 is it couldn't just be on and you just dip into it.
No.
And I think
real time.
That's what makes a great show. So mine would be, if I'm going to go, like, I've got shows I love, but they're like longer format, but I'm going to just go for something I can just sit down and watch at any time. Father Ted.
Okay. If we're doing that, just throw it on. It doesn't matter with The Office, American Office.
There you go.
So Dave went with Kickstart. This is a good one from Jez.
That can't be Dave's.
Can I change my... I mean,
of course you can. Go on.
Now that I feel that, you know, the conversation has
shifted.
The bar.
Go on then.
What? I can honestly, I know it's recent. I think Succession is one of the best things I've ever seen ever.
Yeah, it's great.
I think Succession was just an absolute work of art.
What did you think of the ending? Now you've processed it.
It was always going to be tough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When you've had that much water under the bridge, and how are they going to wrap it up?
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I mean, you're sort of implying that it was perhaps slightly disappointing, but I don't know how else they do it.
I enjoyed the end, and but I'm sure some people did think it was very much like Sopranos, wasn't it? It was just like bang, done and dusted.
But I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, a great show, absolutely great show. There you go.
Okay. On from there, Jez says you have a light aircraft that you can send to a small, crappy desert island for a life of misery and sunburn, but it only has 5 seats.
Yeah.
What 5 British bellends are you putting on it? Fair play, Jez. I mean, I'll start with 1, and then I'll come back. Richard Masters is piloting it. That's what I'm going with.
Can we go with David Phillips and Nick Igo?
So there's 3 on it already.
There's 3 on there as well.
Ped, have you got 2 places to add?
Yeah.
Or do you want your own 5?
I want my own 5.
Okay. Go on then.
Trump, Farage.
British?
Don't care.
I don't know.
Trump, Farage, Johnson.
Yours has got a theme, but carry on.
No, it has. People who are trying to destroy the world.
Go on then.
Richard Masters.
Is trying to destroy the world.
Jedward.
No, I like Jedward. I think they're great. I think Jedward are great.
I can't.
And one more.
Oh yeah, Matt Hancock.
One more. No, I can't say it. Not allowed.
Andrew Robertson. No. Okay.
Oh yeah, there's a special place on the plane for him.
I'm not that spiteful.
I am.
It's just scrappy do type.
Fair play.
But whoever else is on it, Richard Masters is definitely the pilot on it. But yeah, there you go. Bob Pendleton says, I personally despise Brussels sprouts. Yeah. What is your devil's food? So just one food type that you're putting in room 101.
Devil's food.
I've got one while you're waiting.
Go
Go on.
Coriander for me.
Coriander?
And it's,
okay.
it's the fresh coriander that you sometimes get on. This sounds very middle class, doesn't it? You know, oh, I hate fresh coriander. Can't abide it. But yeah, no, I just don't like the taste of it. It's just a bit. It's almost like metallic, and I don't like that. But on the Brussels sprouts one, while Ped's thinking what his answer is, and I'll just fill for time here if you like, is that Brussels sprouts also are one of my pet hates. I just, when they just come out all bored. However, right, and she will be watching this. So, I said before about my cousin Paul, right? Well, his wife, Ali, she'll be watching this as well because our Paul will be watching it.
Okay.
But, so she does something clever with Brussels sprouts where she actually slices them and then she sort of sautés them in a pan with like bacon.
Yeah, Mum's done this,
and actually, that's a whole different take.
That doesn't count.
Yeah,
and they're really, really tasty.
Become tasty then, yeah.
Looking outside of the box, and maybe that is your.
So what's her name?
Tip. Ali.
Ali. Well done, Ali. Well done for sexing up Brussels sprouts.
I'm going to go with
I like that.
Corned beef hash.
Really?
Yeah, and I've told you this before. No. Anything that was given out as ration food shouldn't be allowed anymore. It's as simple as that.
I almost feel like the way the world's going, we're getting back to ration food. So I don't know. I didn't mind corned beef hash. I couldn't have something like Spam.
No. Corned beef hash.
Something like that. I couldn't have that. But custard creams for mine. Devil's food.
Really?
Yeah. They made me sick when I was a kid.
Hang on, you're missing the obvious
and
here.
I can't. No. Well, they're almost. Orange Clubs are the real answer. Orange Clubs should be burnt at the stake. They're a fucking disgrace. But custard creams are coming up on the inside, on the rails.
I like custard creams. I also like I like jammy Dodgers as well.
Yeah, jammy Dodgers.
How do you feel about those?
No, they're sound.
I can live with
they're absolutely sound.
They have to be dipped though.
They're dipped. Oh,
I like to eat the outside first and then save the jammy bit in the middle.
Okay, Dave. Hey,
it's a life choice.
That is really, up to you. It's superb. It's superb. Pip, hello. You haven't given me a question, but hello. You get us through the long drives. She's and 3 trucker fans, so there you go. Hello. I just see one quickly. Jill Crean, if you could body swap for 24 hours with anyone, past or present, who would it be? Why? And what would you do while in control of that person?
Tommy.
There's a couple. That's a tremendous answer. That is a tremendous. Just to have the size of his.
Just for Pamela.
Just for Pamela.
Just for Pamela.
Fair play. Fair play. That was a quick one. I like that.
No,
it wouldn't be. Might be.
No. Well, it might be.
Very. Well, you can do lots, couldn't you? Got 24 hours
on the boat.
On the boat. Just you and Pam on the boat.
And the vid camera.
Okay. Fair play. Well, you want a better HD. It wasn't HD,
no,
was it? You'd want better.
No.
You could probably get like a GoPro and everything these days.
Oh, you could have a Go.
You could really up.
Do you think you could up the ante there? But do you think that?
So to speak. I mean, I mean, you could up the ante.
You could. I mean, that'd be a. Do you think that might be a passing killer though? The GoPro on your head.
I was just thinking.
Well, you do.
No, I know what you mean. I mean, it sounds like some kind of like CD video, doesn't it? With ante so and so up in the ante.
Oh, okay. Well,
see what I mean?
She might have been someone's ante, yeah. So Dave, have you got anything to add on to this? If you could body swap for 24 hours, anyone past, present, who would it be, why, and what would you do while in control of that person's life?
I think it would be Aquaman or someone like that because I think if you're going to body swap, it needs to be somebody who is slightly different to you. I mean, I'm not really very Aquaman naturally, right? So I think maybe that. Where would I go? What would I do?
Well, I mean, you, Aquaman, you and your bleeding paddleboard, you'd be fine.
Surely you go to Atlantis.
Yeah. I just think maybe a little bit more,
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I mean, more grr than I am.
More grr, yeah.
In real life.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you just passing that one by? Are you?
Gary Lineker, I'd stay at Everton and win everything.
24 hours.
Yeah, I just wouldn't sign the contract at Barcelona. There you go. I mean, listen, I've got other ones that are far more interesting, and I've got a current day one. Tiki, whatever his name is. Tiki Taka or whatever.
Wycliffe Jean, did you say?
Wycliffe Jean, because he wants to be gone till November.
Yeah, gone till November, yeah. Tiki Tanaka, what's the one who's married to Rita Ora?
Tanita Tikera?
No, not her. What's his name, Ped? The grey-haired dude. Tiki Wonder or whatever he's called.
Saying wrong names and now it's throwing me off the real.
I can't remember what his name is, but he's married to Rita Ora. He'd have fun for 24 hours there. Joe Mack. says, if you could know the absolute truth to one question, what would you ask? What would that one? The absolute truth.
Who killed JFK?
You love that, don't you?
Yeah, of course, man.
All right, Dave. Tough one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still keep thinking about the Independent Commission. But I think we need to move on.
Fair enough.
How did you get to 10
Yeah,
points?
how did you get to 10
that was
points?
kind of that's dominating my thought process at the moment. It's all just stuff about how did you appoint those people who were clearly unsuitable, and how did you come to that thing, and how have you changed the rules just for us?
Okay.
And other questions. Which
Other
will
questions.
hopefully be highlighted in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Right, the last one. Chad, meat fondue, cheese fondue, chocolate fondue, or fuck you fondue?
What's in a fuck you fondue?
I don't know. I think maybe just means fondue in the bin.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
I'd go for it. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had fondue, but just looking at them, I'd probably go with chocolate. But I don't know.
I don't think I've ever had fondue either, but I find the idea of it in a savoury sense to be a little bit sickly. So I think cheese, what was it? Cheese, meat?
Meat or chocolate or fuck you.
I think I'd probably go chocolate or fuck you because I think that, yeah. I don't think I fancy the meat one or the cheese one. But plus also, is the meat one not cheese-based anyway? Isn't fondue essentially a cheese-based thing?
Yeah, it's wrapping cheese around.
It's going to be meat and cheese as opposed to cheese and cheese.
I'm going chocolate.
Do you know what? It's not really my bag, to be honest with you.
No. So we probably all err on the side of fucky fondue, but if we had to, it'd be chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm going for Waikatatiki.
That's him. That's him.
It's not.
I'm having. That's his. It sounds like him. That's where I'm going for 24 hours anyway. Let's hope my missus doesn't listen to this. Right.
We are looking at how to pronounce Taika Waititi.
There you go. Waika Waititi. Dave, no sound effect just to finish that off.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. We can. That one?
Yeah.
That one.
That was the Independent Commission's bit of that he delivered the news to Everton.
I mean, this is no more silly than what's actually happened in real life.
No.
Fuck off.
Right. Okay, that was a little bit more profanity than normal, but hey ho, the week has called for that.
Dave.
Right, it is sweary Dave. Let's leave it there. Dave's a very busy man. He's got to go off and do other stuff, as have we. So thank you all for listening. Leave your comments below. Anyone's question we didn't get to, we will do next week. Big thanks to Mr. Bush as well for making a brief appearance. Take it easy, subscribe, like, give it 5 stars, do all of that good stuff, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Take care.